everybody, and thanks for joining us on this episode of the Pave It Forward podcast. My name is Phil Metzger, and with me is Kevin Gray, and we are here to help leaders in the paving industry who are looking to run more efficiently, meet their ideal customer, and improve the lives of those around them through meaningful work. Kevin, how are you doing today, man?
Good, man. I'm good. In a great mood today. I'm getting ready. I don't know, here in just a few short hours, leaving out early tomorrow morning, heading down to Marco Island for a business retreat, man, for a couple of days with a couple team members of ours and 50 like-minded folks in this industry that we love and the construction industry in general as well. So, man, I'm feeling good today.
Yeah, I imagine so. It's I know it's winter's in full swing here, so getting a little bit of sun in and definitely talking some business in a more relaxed atmosphere and learning some things sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be nice. Looking forward to it.
Nice. Well, I hope everyone out there listening is having a great day. And today we look to bring you, the asphalt business owner, the value that you are looking for. We had compiled a list of topics for this week's episode, but the direction decided upon was really made because of listener submissions and comments and things like that. Keep them coming, everybody. We really, really appreciate them. It's been, we've gotten a great response so far. And so far, YouTube has been the place to go. But please feel free to reach out to us on Instagram or LinkedIn as well. We are active on those and wanting to help people grow and share knowledge on there as well. To find our YouTube channel, please just search Pave It Forward. And you can also find us on Instagram @_Pave It Forward. And then just search us out on LinkedIn, Pave It Forward, or you can reach out to Kevin or I personally. We have so much going on. We have so much going on, and I'm so excited. This week, we launched our first version of our website, which is paveitforwardinc.com. So give us a visit there. We've got a lot going on there already. We also announced that we will be speaking at National Pavement Expo on February 24th in Charlotte. That will be a 90-minute class for people in the paving industry wanting to know more about digital marketing. So that is definitely a huge thing for Kevin and I. We also released our paving industry report. By the time this comes out, we will have released phase 2 of the paving industry report. I'll get more into that here towards the end of the episode. But basically what we're doing is we are just asking anyone in the paving and seal coat industries who would like to voluntarily take this test, if they would just fill out a 20 to 25 question survey about how their year went last year, and then what they're looking forward to in 2022, and then just what they may want a little help on or what they're lacking in information out there. So head on over to paveitforwardinc.com, and what we will do is we'll get all those answers back to you in the middle of February, and we'll also discuss them. We won't just leave them hanging there. We are here to address the biggest questions in asphalt paving. And I just could not be more excited about this, because when we started this, it was simply just to gauge what everyone was having problems with. And what ended up happening is a whole series of interviews. We dove in last year, and it seemed to be one of the things that brought the most value to people that were listening. So we're going to dig back into that. We've got a whole bunch of stuff. So we'll definitely look forward into getting that at the end of the episode. But as far as this episode, let's get on to it, because we're going to cover field operations. And the way we kind of chose to break this down is we were getting a lot of requests and comments on YouTube that people really wanted us to dive more into kind of the really foundational aspects of maybe even starting over. What would we do, and all of those type of things. And so though we will talk about marketing and culture in this podcast, we have to think that about 70 to 80% of these episodes will be about operations. Culture and marketing are important to growth, but nothing else, but it doesn't get achieved without the ability to consistently deliver good work, or at least what you promise the customer. So you will see culture and marketing opportunities and episodes here, because that is the way we choose to grow, and what we believe is the best scenario to grow a local paving company. So to understand, to just really quick dive into what we consider as our best scenario, because we've kind of deciphered the formula for how we got here. It's very close to the plan of how Kevin and I got here. But when you can understand what you are skilled at in the paving realm, identify your ideal customer, use culture and operations to build your company and to best serve the ideal client, And then you use a documentary style of marketing to show that to your customer. It shows who you really are. I could go on and on about this strategy and how much better it is than paid advertisement in the long run. But we have to find a cow before we start cooking burgers, right, Kev? So
Yes,
we need to get these field operations questions and thoughts going. So one more clear thing that we needed to go over that we won't go over today is and we'll do an entire episode on this, is especially dedicated to costs and understanding margins and overhead and the true cost of time and effort. So not only an episode, but we're looking at possibly asking other people in the industry to come and help us just think these things through, make sure we have everything down, not only from an ADC standpoint, but from several other companies to see if we can't really nail down what it is that you guys need to be looking at. And ladies, when you start looking at redoing everything based on those important things like the bottom line and being able to keep up production capabilities. So that'll be a nice thing, and it's going to be a nice side project as well. So let's go ahead and jump in to paving operations. But let's start with the type of job, Kevin, that a paving company should take. Can you tell us a little bit about your thoughts when it comes to assessing what types of jobs a paving company should or shouldn't take, and maybe how to determine a good type of job fit for your company? Like, if you are just now thinking that you want to change things in your company, there are just things you don't like, it's not your company, just something that says we're going to change maybe in 2022. Looking at your current situation, assuming that you have some kind of operation, Kev, what are some of the thoughts that goes through your mind when you think about trying to find a good fit for your paving crew and company?
Well, I think the first thing you've got to, I think the first thing you need to do is just take a deep dive and a really hard look at your operation, and really understand, who you've got on the team, what, uh, who's on the team, what's your talent level, how many guys you have that may or may not be, cross-trained, experience level, things like that. You've got to look at, what kind of equipment you may own or have the ability, to rent or use, borrow, whatever, like that. So, I mean, it's really just analyzing basically what you have to take out into the field, take out into the world with you to go produce this work, right? So it's really understanding what you got, and further than that, deeper than that, you've got to understand what that stuff, the manpower, the equipment, and the overhead involved with that, what it looks like from a real-time cost standpoint. What's it cost to take this stuff out into the world and operate, and really diving into get down to the brass tacks. You really need to know what your labor, equipment, and overhead costs you every man hour that you're working, every hour that you're out there producing for the entire season. We use a formula that we use a 200-day paving season. So basically we back into those 200 days, and let's say you've got 10 hours a day on those 200 days. You've got 2,000 man hours that you're dealing with. So you got to figure out what your guys cost you, guys or gals cost you, what your equipment costs you. And when you get into equipment costs, you're talking about, your payment, your insurances, your fuels, your preventative maintenance. You also want to make sure you're allowing for real, maintenance or breakdown. Some of that stuff does happen too. So you got, your burden, your labor burden, not just your hourly rate, but what are the matching taxes look like with that? If you offer health insurance, 401k, overtime, making sure you're getting all that stuff built in to this formula, and understanding what it costs to take that stuff out and produce your work. And that's something, every company's different. Everybody's got, different number of members on the crew. They've got different kinds of equipment. Some equipment may be, may be paid for. And that's something too. I mean, even though equipment may be paid for, you still need to be charging for that. You need to, as you're building this out, assume that stuff necessarily isn't paid for. You want to make sure you're getting the return on the value of operating that equipment. So, and this is something that we'd be more than happy to help anybody with, not just our clients that come on board with us necessarily, but we can help people establish and understand what their hourly rate really needs to look like to understand how much it's truly costing you to go out there, because I think so many people miss that. In a big way. I missed it for a long, I wouldn't say a long time, but for the first couple of years, I didn't really take the time to understand what it cost. I just, I kind of was like, our crew cost us this an hour, and I wasn't even necessarily taking all of the true costs involved with an employee. I was taking maybe just their kind of their hourly rate, and didn't even really understand the total cost of owning and operating a piece of equipment look like.
So are you talking about, you would just think about how much labor is costing you versus the price of the job, and that was about it?
Say that again. Ask that again.
Yeah. Were you saying that it was basically you would only look at how much it costs in labor, meaning, how much it costs you to have your guys out there, and the price of the job?
I was almost just looking at your hard costs, like your hard cost. Wasn't taking that additional step to understand what the overhead cost was, if you will, all the other things that go into that man hour.
Well, let's dive into that, because you came in and bought a company, so you had people here. You had people at ADC that could help you along this way, but especially for people that may just have another person or two that works for them. And of course you can count on us, you can ask us questions, but it takes some time out of your day and some effort to really plan all this out. And I know there are some people out there that just don't know or are lazy, and there's some people that just don't have the time. So what happened to where you made that switch between not looking at it and looking at it?
I made the switch when you'd work an entire season and thought we were making money, and we didn't know how we were going to make it 3 months of the winter.
Sure,
that's how it happened. It's like, well,
survival.
I thought survival. We're gonna have to open a line of credit just to help us pay the bills through the winter. We're gonna starve. I don't mean literally starve, but the company's we're not gonna be able to, pay the rent, keep the lights on, that kind of stuff. So it's just because it looks good on paper, you've got your, you're paying your labor, you're paying your weekly wages, and your material bills, and everything else that goes into that job. It's way deeper than that, because there's a whole list of items, line items on your P&L statement that have to be paid for too. So you got to make sure that you're accounting for all that stuff and building all of that into every man hour that you're projecting to work for a season. That's got to be part of your true cost. And that's, you got your hard costs, which are your direct costs associated with producing work. That's your labor, that's your equipment, fuel, subcontractors, anything that goes into production, into operation. Then you've also got your soft costs, which are underneath that. So your P&L should look like, you got your revenue up top, you got your cost of goods sold, so you've got your operating cost, which are your hard costs, and then you've got your soft costs below that, which is basically everything else involved with keeping the lights on, basically. Yeah, I mean, when we figured out, or when we realized that there wasn't any money really left over at the end of the year, is when we really started when the light bulb went off. It's like, man, we're obviously not charging enough. Our pricing is not correct, because we're not producing enough margin on these jobs to cover everything else involved with running a business. And
Right.
that's why gross margin, that's why we've talked about in the first few episodes is really starting to understand your gross margin. This goes back to the question you asked to start this off with was how do you find what type of job a paving any company should take on? And it's one that you can maximize where can you get the highest gross profit? It's really that simple.
Sure.
If you're out there, if we shoot for 50% or better on our residential work. And that's not across the board. I mean, there's obviously a scale of economics involved with that.
Sure.
Some are 60%, some are 40%. If we can get that 50% average on our residential work, then we know we're doing good. So if you're out there chasing or doing a bunch of work that you see, oh man, we're only hitting 30%, 30%, 30%. Something isn't right. Something isn't aligning with the type of jobs you're taking on, or your production and efficiencies, logistics, operations aren't running good enough. So you either need to make an improvement there. You may have too much, labor out there. You may not be using your trucking as efficiently as you should be. I mean, I cannot emphasize enough in this industry with how much it costs to operate a dump truck, and fuel prices and everything, and wages, labor costs, how important logistics are in this industry, and really scheduling your work to, if we go out and do, if we're on a residential day and we're out doing 6 or 7 driveways for the day, which we can make a good margin on, but we have got to be in high production, but we got to be fast, we got to be efficient, we got to be in and out. So you have logistically got to be set up, and the way we do it, we've got a map we use, and we'll code, and we'll flag all of our jobs on the map. That way we can quick reference where all of our jobs are located. Logistically, where they're at in proximity of each other, and we want to stay in certain areas, in certain quadrants.
Yeah.
We want as little travel time between jobs as possible. So we'll go, if we've got it, we'll go the furthest out from the shop, and then we'll find either a cluster of jobs in that area, or we'll find a direct path back to the shop. At the end of the day, we start and stop from the shop every day. We'll find as straight a line as possible as we can out, starting out, working our way back into the shop without driving all over town. I mean, if you say, oh, we're going to go do these 5 jobs today and they're all over town, I guarantee you're running 20, 30, 40 minutes drive time in between each of your jobs. There's no way in hell you're making money. And that's where those soft costs and overhead costs that you're not maybe accounting for come into play. I mean, you may be doing well, margin wise, job for, each job of the day may go well, but where are you accounting? Where are you charging that travel time in between? Where are you, who's paying for that? What customer's paying for that? What revenue that's incoming is covering that stuff. And that's where a lot of people miss, logistics are absolutely critical in this industry.
Sure. Yeah. And I know this has to seem like a lot, but this is why we're talking about this process that you're kind of going through, taking 3 years or so, like 3 to 5 years, but it's done one step at a time. And when you were like mentioning the map that you have on your board with a radius around how far you actually service, like that is an easy first step you can take. You can have a physical map and draw a circle around, and then when you get jobs, if you can, 1, take it, and 2, you can work outside in, and maybe you have 3 or 4 days worth of work. Well, you can schedule those 3 or 4 days worth of work that makes sense to you, and you're not spending an extra hour and a half driving over, you and your crew all over the place. And so I also want to say that, Kevin, you definitely have a business background too. So a lot of the finances can be very, very scary too. But just wanted to reference one thing you said earlier was P&L, which is a profit and loss statement. And so
Correct.
maybe, and just kind of summarizing this question, maybe you have your hard costs, equipment and labor, and then your soft costs to consider. And then let's see, you have your crew and operations and logistics, and then it has to make sense financially. So those are some of the basics, but the things we're talking about here, you can dive in one step at a time, and you're going to start seeing that it makes a difference in immediately. Like if you can take the week or two, maybe to see how it works best for you or your team or whatever, it makes the lives of everyone better because you're not missing jobs. You're not running late on jobs and having to push them back. It's not having to push the whole schedule back,
Oh,
it
that
just,
becomes a log jam. That's, yep.
yeah.
That
So,
gets very expensive.
yep. And then, so I guess, you can definitely, when you have time, take a step back and look at crew operations and logistics, but then also start to dive into, organizing these things, maybe finding YouTube videos or help online, or maybe eventually we can provide some resources that just say like, here are the things that you need to make sure you look at, because it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, and I mean, it's we're not going to teach this in an hour podcast like
Right.
this. Now, what we can do is we can. It would be nice to be able to build out some examples, to be able to give some, kind of a blueprint or some tactical, guides they can use to reference. And again, this is something we, obviously more than happy to help people really start to understand. But if, the point is, our motto a couple of years ago was no bad jobs. And that meant a lot of different things. It meant don't go do crappy work. Let's make our work look good. But
Right.
more importantly, it meant, and this is when the light bulb went off, is don't take on bad jobs. If you're consistently doing a 25 on jobs, you should be hitting, kind of, let's just use a 50% margin. Jobs you should be able to produce at a 50% margin. And you're doing work that you're hitting 20, 30, 15, 27%. Like I promise you this, and it's scary as a business owner, and it can lead to sleepless nights, and it's a very dark place to be because I've been there. But you are better off walking away from that work, even though you may see it as income, as potential revenue. And there's always that stress of keeping your guys busy. They're going to leave if we don't have enough work. But like you're better off not doing that work, than going out there doing it and repetitively doing that kind of low margin every single day. You're going to run out of money. You're going to bankrupt your company. Now, it's okay. I mean, it's, sometimes you're going to either you're not going to perform, or maybe because of a relationship or something, you're going to take on some work that you probably shouldn't. But the point is, you don't want to do it repetitively. That's not something
Sure.
you want to get in the habit of just to get work. It's okay. It's okay to tell people no. It's okay to tell customers they're not a good fit for your operation. And it's so go find work, go market, go target the kind of work that you want. Figure out what your costs are, figure out what you're good at, and go get it. Be proactive. If the calls aren't coming in, if the leads aren't coming in, and you're basically telling, and we did this for years, we tell every time the phone rang, we were going to look at it. I said in episode 4, and don't get me wrong, every time the phone rings, that's money. That's potential income. So like,
Sure.
you don't just want to be telling people no all the time, because at the end of the day, that is someone that's trying to give you money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But really start understanding what you're good at. And if it's something you're not good at, maybe you figure out how to get good at it.
Yeah. And
Or maybe you're taking out, because it's a paving job. Maybe you're taking out your whole paving crew. You're taking 7 men out and all of your equipment out. Maybe you figure out a way to like, all right, we can do this job. How can we do it with 3 guys? What piece of equipment can we invest in, or what tool can we get to make this easier and faster? Instead of sending 7 men out there, let's send 3 and let's make an investment on this $25,000 piece of equipment that may be scary or intimidating. Like, I don't want to spend $25,000. That's one of the biggest mistakes contractors make too, is they're afraid to make purchases. You hear this all the time. You got to spend money to make money. That shit is real. Like that. I'm not saying just go blow money to spend money to spend money, but like, do your homework and analyze what that piece of equipment can actually, what's the return on investment. Every purchase I make, every purchase I've ever made with this business has been, what is the return on investment with this piece of equipment? If it doesn't make sense, if the return is not good enough, then we'll pass.
Well, you also do that because you went through the phase of buying used crappy equipment.
Yeah, don't do that either. Trust me, yes, is it much more expensive to get new stuff? Yeah, but you know what? You start getting a relationship with an equipment dealer, you get the warranty, you get their service team, you get their support. So there's much more that comes with buying new than just the fact that it's new and it's probably going to be dependable and reliable. The cost of being broken down in this industry is immense. It is massive. You cannot afford to be broken down. So I guarantee you that $150,000 dump truck that looks super scary on paper is going to end up costing you way less than that $50,000 used dump truck in the long term, in a 3 to 5 year period.
Sure.
It'll probably double or triple what it's going to save you. I promise you that.
Yeah.
So
I
mean, we've been juggling the idea of buying a milling machine, a 4 or 7 foot milling machine for several years, because we do a lot of mill and overlay parking lot kind of work. And it's just, we're almost there, but it's been the last 3 years. I have crunched numbers every year. And until we get to the point where that tips from, we're going to lose money on that piece of equipment. Now we're pretty close to where it would be even right now. We get to the point where that thing starts making us money and we start getting a return on investment on a piece of equipment. We'll buy that piece of equipment. That's a $500,000 risk. That's a $500,000 investment. You're not going to do that just because you want to do that. You shouldn't. But that if I would have pulled the trigger on that 2 or 3 years ago, we would be losing on that piece of equipment right now.
So and it seems like we're kind of dividing. We started this kind of path by saying you can either keep doing your 20% margin jobs and stressing out, or you can say no to that job and look for those jobs that make sense. And in order to stay there, you have to perform good work and take pride. So like basically, if you make that choice to take only the bigger jobs, it forces you to grow and look at this stuff. So it can really be, a push in the right direction. And when you start talking about building relationship with equipment dealers, those equipment dealers want to see you walk through that door and they want to help you, do a good job with the work and everything else like that. So, it can be very intimidating with all these things, but if you do decide to take that step, you can even take one step at a time and get better. But for people out there looking to maybe say, wow, for people looking to say, maybe prioritize their goals a little bit for the business. And they say, we've got, 30 things, that we need to prioritize. It looks like you're kind of saying, where are your biggest problem areas financially? Like sit down and see if you can't knock that out first. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got to, let me go a little deeper in that. You've got to have the data to support your decisions. I've got 12 years of job cost history and data that have helped us get to, and I can't stress how important that is. I mean, so many people they get the check, they'll put it in the bank, they'll pay their people, and then they're done with, like, they're not even taking the time to to do a job cost we do a job cost on a $950 pothole, the same we would do a job cost on a $1 million parking lot. It
Yeah.
all matters. It's all data,
Sure.
and it's data we've got to have to be able to operate a sustainable business. If you're not tracking job costs, there's no way you have any idea if you're making or losing money. So that's number one. You got to have the data to be able to do that. Like, you've got to have historic. Now, if you're just getting started, you're not going to have data, so you're going to need some help on the front end to start, really understanding, like we talked about when we started off, about understanding what does each man hour cost you to operate.
Has
But yeah,
has a CPA helped you along the way in any of this, or has it all been self-education or hiring for you?
how so helped
Like,
out?
just, if I because I mean, let's face it, like, starting a business is intimidating in
Yeah,
itself. So like, if you're going blind into the paving industry, or even if you're being groomed into taking over a paving industry, whatever the situation might be, it can be a big thing. But maybe you don't have a business background and you've never really worked with spreadsheets, or you don't even know, besides pulling out a pen and paper and writing down a list, which is a great start, exactly how to go about it. I was just wondering if you learned this through your education, if you had someone in your office built in, or if you actually had to seek out a CPA, because I'm not exactly sure where a CPA could step in and not, if you understand, just for someone that listeners could just be like, I want help now. I want 2 or 3 steps. How do I get my finances in line?
yeah. I mean, call me. Call me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, I mean, a lot. A lot of it was self-education, basically. I mean, it was a lot of it. So we're speaking at NPE here in a few weeks. I went to NPE for 7-8 years in a row, and there are some, there are some. I say there's a handful of very good educators at NPE that really know their stuff. They've shared their value, what they've learned, and that's where I started to get that information. There's classes there at NPE that are specifically talk about job costing and running your business by the numbers. You've got to understand your numbers. You cannot do this blind. You cannot. You can't. I mean, you can, but
It'd be about 1,000 times slower in progress.
Yeah, and you're going to be broken down all the time. You're going to be out of money all the time. You're going to be stressed out all the time. Your employees are going to everything.
Discouraged.
Everybody's going to feel it. Everybody's going to feel it if you don't get your shit together and understand your business. It's really that simple. So that's where I started learning. Job costs, was immersing myself in some of these classes and courses, and there's obviously more tools and resources out there now than just going to a conference.
Sure.
And here's another problem with this too. I mean, I've seen it for years. A lot of times these guys go to these conferences and all they're doing is a weekend to get away from their spouse and their kids, and they're down there getting hammered and partying until 4 or 5 in the morning. They ain't learning shit the next day.
Sure.
If you're going to spend money and invest in yourself and go to class and start learning stuff, I mean,
and they're taking their employees and showing them that they're getting drunk and an opportunity to learn.
Right. Yeah. Why don't you take it? If you're going to play in the business world, why don't you put on your big boy pants and fricking go down there and learn something, right? I mean, it's not, and it's your money, it's your future, it's your business. You can do whatever you want, but like, if you want to,
if you have another way to educate yourself and your crew and you want to use it as a getaway, that's fine. We're not going to hate on you if you're having a good time, but
no, there's nothing wrong with having a good time, but don't be mad when you get to the end of next season and nothing changed. Nothing happened. You're still in the same boat you were a year ago. So
sure. Well, as far as like setting, like, just
my soapbox on that.
Oh, you're all right. You're all right, man. I mean, it's absolutely true, and I'm always both the devil's advocate and an empath. So it's like, man, these other people
that
are
a year
probably
or two myself, by the way. So like, I'm not.
yeah.
Preaching that I'm this high and mighty. There's a couple of my first years of getting out of town doing stuff. I had a good time. So
heck yeah.
But
well,
I'm trying to teach the listener what I've learned.
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's exactly the point. You talk about finding different resources to learn. My marketing company was essentially built through Google, YouTube, and some certifications and courses online.
Right.
Like I knew the creative aspect of things, so I kind of knew one aspect of the business. But as far as not only learning the marketing side of the business, but having a checklist that's kind of what I'm talking about. I say checklist a ton in our businesses, but just basically just
This work.
having a checklist to where other people have verified it and it has worked for them. And, you can customize it to your own company, but to look back every day and know that you've previously thought about this, that you've got it thought out gives you a lot of peace, inner peace. And to know that you and the goals for your company and the other people that work for you are on pace is great. And I didn't know if you had an actual way of kind of prioritizing your own goals, but I wanted to mention, I didn't know it was Warren Buffett's rule until I researched it for this episode, but it's called the 25-5 rule. And it's where you take 1 to 2 weeks, you write out the top 25 goals for whatever your life. Usually he does it as his life. You could probably also do it for your business, but you write out 25 goals and select 5 and only 5 that you want to concentrate on for the year that are making the biggest impact. Now, you may be able to do more or less, but when it comes down to something like, find the next best piece of equipment for my company, like that's going to take a while to figure out and to have the income. So I like the 25-5 rule, but do you have a way that you've kind of either evolved or that you really like to kind of prioritize your goals for the business, Kev?
Uh,
I know you write it
man,
everywhere.
what's that? Yeah,
I know you write it and print it everywhere. And once you said
yeah. What's that?
just your goals and stuff, as far as like the different posters and the no bad jobs in the past and stuff like that. You've had
Yeah,
the literature on the walls and available for people to see on your T-shirts and
yeah.
other things like that.
Well, that's a biggie too, man. Just because you as the owner or the leader or whatever, if you have goals or a vision in your head, it doesn't do anybody a damn bit of good unless you share that, right?
Yeah,
Um, you may have all the vision, ideas, trajectory in the world, but if you're not telling the rest of the team where you'd like to go, then they have no idea how to get the boat there, right?
sure,
And especially if we're not all rowing in the same direction.
sure.
So that is absolutely critical, and it can be a little wishy-washy sometimes with a business owner sharing financial information. I'm not saying you have to share all of your financial information, because some of that does need to be just between kind of your CPA and your CFO, whatever, within the business. But we put the thermometer on the wall last year and said, hey, this is our financial goal. And we've even gone so far as to sharing the margin. We did that. It was a couple, maybe 3-4 seasons ago. Every single job, every single day, we would share the gross profit margin with the crew, so they could see how they're doing, see what we're missing. And then it also gives us a reference point to talk about, with the crew in a team meeting. It's like, well, what happened on this job? Where could we have improved, or was this just a bad job? Should we not have taken, you start seeing a trend with certain kinds of work that you keep, hitting this low margin on. It's like, oops, maybe this isn't a good job, or maybe we're overstaffing it or not taking the right equipment out on it. But yeah, I mean, we share, and we put our goal on a poster in the back last year, and every few weeks I'd update that thing, let everybody know where we're at, where we're going. Also share it all. It was also some encouragement and motivation. We would also show the crew bonus level that was associated with that revenue, right? So
Yeah.
they've got something to work for. It gives them a little extra push to get to that next bonus level. So it gives them a little encouragement to a little push in the rear there. So
Yeah. Plus, it encourages them to stay through the season. Now, you don't need a whole lot of that, because your culture is one where the people already want to be there and hit those goals for the right reasons. But you'd also think, if you get that bonus at the end of the season, it'd be nice to cash that in. Very, very much a side point, but
no, we're very going back to my point, some business owners think it's not appropriate, or they're I don't know what they're hiding, but they don't share much, if any, financial information with their teams. And like we are very transparent here, because let's face it. I mean, the financial piece is a big part of the goals we set. I mean, those financial goals are what allow us to pay our people more money. They're what allow us to reinvest in our company and buy the latest and greatest and newest equipment. Did I lose you on the mic there? Yeah, I did. You're very low. But yeah, I mean, and there are, we get to the end of, probably should do this, still don't have it, a little more frequently. But we'll get to the end of the season and find two, three, maybe even 5 things that we know, that we discovered, that were revealed, that we want to improve on going into the next year, and then we'll make that a priority. You want to keep it kind of simple, man. You can't set out to say, oh, we're gonna change these 20 things next year. Like, we could do these 20 things better. Like, you'll never get. It's kind of like a jack of all trades and a master of none, right? So you need to set realistic, maybe 3 to 5 goals, and work at those. And when you hit them, then maybe you can throw another one in. It can be an evolving goal setting kind of deal. But make sure you hitting one before you add another one, right? Like, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. None of this is going to happen overnight. I mean, let's face it. Most people that get into business are going to have 20 to 30 year career, right? It doesn't have to happen overnight. Be smart, be methodical, pay attention to what you're doing, and just say, hey, if we can fractionally get better at this, and fractionally, it all is eventually going to add up, and you're going to get the sum that you were looking for. Like, it's impossible to do the right things every day and get the wrong results. So, like, as long as you've got a goal, a trajectory, a goal, and you got your trajectory set on that, and the actions that you have to be doing to get to that goal, as long as you keep doing them, it's going to happen. It's impossible for it not to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. The consistency and persistence. And of course, you can falter it with your character a little bit, but as long as you can keep your character in line with what you're going for too. But I wanted to get back just to something you had mentioned about why people don't share their financial information with their employees, or, certain aspects of it. I think, part of it is traditional business. So, if you're one of these people who doesn't do it, I can see where it may come off rude or something like that. But I think for a lot of business owners, they're worried that the gap in finances between what their employees make and what they make is going to be a deterrent. Now, the reason I feel like you're not afraid of that is because you give everyone the opportunity to grow. You have built into your process that you're going to pay better than anyone else in the area. And also the fact that you have made it, if this isn't your calling, this career, and you want to continue education, or you're giving us your time and your hard work while you are aiming towards something else, you want these people to live their own lives. This isn't plugging a number into an equation, or it's not just like putting butts in seats. Like, this is a living, breathing thing that you have. And so I feel like you're more comfortable sharing that information because you leave no excuses for anyone else to make improvements in their lives. So I'm not saying that it has to be one or the other. Either you do or you don't because of those two things, because maybe it's not your style. But to be able to get to that point takes some serious cojones. Just to, because even when you start doing that with me, like, and letting people know, what our business relationship was like. At first I was like, oh, this that this person's in the room while we're discussing this. But what happened was people saw the respect that you had for my role or any other plug in any other role in your company for that position towards the goal. And then we're going to say nine times out of 10, better than 7 out of 10, that your goals and trials at least lead to something productive for the company, if not directly resulting in more profit and better jobs. But I just wanted to kind of put that out there as far as there's a difference between being vulnerable for a reason and being transparent for no reason.
That's exactly right. That is a very good point, my friend.
So a question that we get all the time, which I would have not been able to guess in a million years on all this stuff. You set your goals, you're ready to go, you're fired up, especially at the beginning of the season, your crew might be fired up. How do you know when fast is too fast? How do you know when you're setting your daily goal too high, or you're like, if you're still running behind on where you should be on a projection? Like, when do you say I just set the goal too high?
You'll feel it. I think you'll feel it from your team, man. You'll feel it from your crew. Now, again, like I said, we try to talk people out of coming to work here because we do set very high goals. We do have very, at least I like to think so. We have very high standards and expectations, but it's for good reason, because if you want to be the best, we say this out loud all the time. We want to be the best paving contractor in the state, if not in the country. Like, people have heard me say that 9 million times.
Yeah.
Want to be the best paving contractor in the state, if not in the country.
Yeah,
if
that's
not,
scary coming in as a marketer. Yeah, you're a new
add,
marketer.
if not in the world to that now. Like, why not? Why stop at the country?
Oh, and change the paving industry as a whole. It's like my
first day. First day I met you, so I want to change this industry as a whole.
I'm like, this guy's delusional, but he is a marketer's dream.
I am.
And you weren't.
The delusion is coming to reality, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it's always been our goal to help out the industry as a whole. And I just never had permission to do anything on that grand of a scale. But, it does come from the mentorship and everything that we've learned through time, through time being together. But so
and look,
those goals.
Talk about goals and trajectories. That you met me on the first day you met me. We talked about this, paving it forward. Paying it forward to the industry. Yeah. And look, we've done the right thing for the last 3 years.
Sure.
And look where we are.
Well, it's just people that want to give back. Those are the people we're talking to. The people that want to do more than put butts in chairs and look at a bottom line. We are living this. We do this day to day. It's a hard industry. It's hard work. Good employees are more valuable than ever. It's not hard to necessarily succeed. There's not a whole lot of variance in technology that's coming out in the asphalt paving industry. If you have the information and the right attitude, you can absolutely succeed. And so, but getting back into when do you set the goal too high, and
everybody has access to the same equipment and materials as everybody else.
That's right.
What makes you different?
And what's so exciting about it? Like, honestly, if you want to own and run a business, paving is a great way to get in. It's a service that's needed, and it's on a cycle, and it's relatively it's not extremely complicated if you put in the time. Now, as we said, it does take years, but yeah, it can be. It caught me as fascinating in an industry I thought would not catch me as fascinating.
Well, going back to your question, man. You've set the goal too high. If you've got a good culture and you've got a transparent culture and a team built on trust and communication, ethics, morals, and all that good stuff, they'll tell you this. Hey, boss, too much. It's too much. They'll come, and it'll be interesting this year because I'm gonna be allowed to take a step out of the field to some degree. So I knew the bar was too high for the last couple of years because I've been out there with them. I was feeling their pain.
You're still feeling the pain, man.
I think I'm still feeling it. Finally recouping a little bit here, man.
Yeah.
These boys went hard last year, man. I'm proud of each and every one of them, man. And as young as we were and as inexperienced as we were, to be able to to uphold our promises to our customers and deliver the quality and professionalism and customer experience that we were able to do, all things considered, is pretty amazing. It's brought me to tears a bunch of times in the last 6 or 8 weeks reflecting on it, man. And that's when you know that the culture is getting good. That's when you know that you've got camaraderie and brotherhood, sisterhood, trust. So you know when the goal is too high, because they're going to come. You'll feel it. You'll feel it, or you'll see it. You'll see the quality of the work really going down. Yeah,
You'll know it in your gut.
Huh?
You'll know it in your gut. That was a bad job.
You'll see attitudes going down. You'll see, it'll just it starts to suck the life out of people. And it's to me, this is a lesson I had to learn too, because you work 6 days a week and you work let's call it 12 hours a day. That's 72 hours. That's probably too much. I have found that sweet spot to be 55, 60 hours. I mean, as much as we want to squeeze out maybe an extra 10 hours, you actually lose on those. You think you're getting, you're gaining an extra 10 hours. You actually start losing in productivity, efficiency, quality. Your number of callbacks may rise on the that last 10 or 12 hours of work you're doing. Wear and tear on the equipment because they're ready to get out there and get done, so they don't care how they're treating that piece of equipment.
Yep.
Fluids aren't getting checked. I mean, the pre-trip stuff, like they're like, screw it. So you start getting attitudes going that direction. It ends up costing you way more than you think you're getting. If you got a 40-week season, you try to squeeze that extra 10 hours. You're talking 400 man hours. Get better and more efficient and productive, and get things running easier in the 55 to 60, and you don't have to worry about that extra 10 to 12.
Sure. Not to mention that those 70-hour weeks, there's a week after that too, and that crew still has to be able to be there and perform and not call in and all that kind of good stuff.
It's still going to be 105 degrees with a 98% humidity on Monday.
Yeah. Welcome to Kentucky in the South.
That's right. Right. So that's not fun for anybody.
Well, Kev,
it doesn't need to be that way.
Yeah, I agree. And I remember seeing that firsthand when you were talking about the fluids not getting checked and things not getting cleaned up. That was pretty consistently a thing about 2 or 3 years ago when you all were really putting in those long days. So I do remember seeing all that, and then just the guys being drained.
Yeah, we were putting in unnecessary long days because we had poor leadership.
Yeah.
Well, and that was my fault to not get or find or be out there myself. Give them proper leadership. 13, 14-hour days. You're working till 9, 10 o'clock at night. Should have been normal 8 to 10 hour days.
Sure.
We've learned and we're moving on.
Yeah, absolutely. You've learned, and you can't fault yourself too much because you were working an hour or two before and after that. So, yeah. But anyways,
it's all part of the process, man. It's all part of the process. It's a marathon. It's a marathon and a sprint. Say that again.
That's correct. Yeah, and we were actually going to get into hiring for a couple questions, but we're going to go ahead and save that for the next episode.
That's probably a great idea because we can really get into that, man.
I think it's a big deal, and
that's a biggie.
So we'll probably make office operations the next one after that. But we do have lots of other exciting stuff as far as the paving industry report. We'll have some interviews as well coming up with that. But so what we're going to go ahead.
By the way,
yeah,
can I plug that real quick?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I know we're running over here, but
no, you're good.
We had, for the first year we did that paving industry report last year, I mean, the feedback and the response we got was incredible. Like I was shocked. Like,
yeah.
I had no idea we had that much of a presence and that many eyeballs kind of watching us that actually got involved with that, man. So kudos to you on cultivating that idea and coming up with that and putting that out to the world, because I think that uh, big impact on the industry, and the amount of people we got to participate in that was amazing for year one. I would imagine it's going to grow in year two. We were able to get a lot of great people in the industry onto a podcast. We recorded some podcasts with the folks that really um, participate, and I hope we're going to do that again, man. I'd love to get as many people on here in the industry as possible to talk about things within that paving industry report. So
I have a feeling it's going to be a huge part of our future is really getting, you talk about, writing out costs and setting stuff like that up. Why don't we have a CPA to tell us, that kind of stuff? You talk about therapy, and when you're in month 7 of a long season, getting a therapist on here, and then other leaders in the paving industry who have shown that their methods have led them to a comfortable lifestyle where they enjoy the culture that they've built. And so do their employees.
my
Like,
therapist is in. She
gotta,
said she would. She said she'd be in anytime we want her.
I love it. I love it. So we'll put that one on the docket too. But when you talk about, putting that paving industry report out there, and when we go back to earlier, I don't want to make this about us, but just in the fact of thinking out a business in the future, you had said that, you wanted to change the industry as a whole, and you wanted to be the best in Kentucky, if not the nation. Well, we had to start with Kentucky. And in order to see how we could help the industry, we had to ask the industry. And that's what we're saying. And that's why, we're starting the coaching deal. You have been coaching for a year or two, and people have been flying in. You've been flying out 2 different companies. And I'm very thankful for the people out there that have, made some things available for the paving industry specifically, but there's not a whole lot of resources out there. So when you talk about, putting that report out there, it's the exact same thing that the business owner and paving owner can do. They can take a step back and see exactly what they need to do. So I had no clue that I was going to care this much about, what we're doing here, but I truly get excited. And when you talk about building a company, I think it does bring a lot of value, and I'm excited to see what our guests this year have to say, because it's going to be another great year.
Yep.
But I want to go ahead and let's go ahead and wrap it up, and not wrap it up yet, because we have our thought that won't stop. Kev, you want to lead off this week?
Yeah. Did you have a couple announcements also? Maybe?
Well,
No?
I had a couple announcements. Well, we're speaking at MPE. I was going to wait till the end of the episode. But
let's wait. Let's wait.
Okay, let's wait. What's your thought that won't stop?
My thought that won't stop is, I think it's just my overall general excitement I've got going on inside. It's got to do with this trip coming up tomorrow. We're down at the TCS Inner Circle Retreat. Able to take 2 of our sales professionals with. They're not just salespeople. They are monsters. One of them is already a monster within the industry, and we just hired a new guy sitting actually right here beside me. And he is, I couldn't be more excited to spend the weekend with him, and I'm very excited at his potential, and he aligns so well with who we are, what we do, what this inner circle group that he's going to be introduced to this weekend, what we do, the blueprint that looks like. He's absolutely going to be incredible in this position, and I'm super amped to spend the weekend with my 2 guys and the inner circle group. And then we've got our your company's Mirror MVP with ADC Sales and Marketing Retreat next weekend at Red River Gorge. And then we've got NPE coming up where you and I are speaking, and we're actually taking our entire company this year. And actually the 2 days leading up to NPE, we are having a retreat with K&L Industries and JB Line. So the 3 of our companies are going to be together for 2 days at a lodge style setting to just dive into the core values and things like that, and team building, camaraderie. So man, I am excited for the togetherness that I have found within this industry, the people that I get to call my friends, my team members who have become they're way more than team members. They're part of my family now. Your whole team, man. The inner circle, I mean, just man, it's that when we sat out 3 years ago, when you and I sat down, we said we want to change the industry. TCS's vision has always been we want to change the industry. KNL, we want to change the industry. All that coming up within the next 30 days, man. I'm over here goosebumps. Like this is when I say it's way bigger than Blacktop, man. It's way bigger than Blacktop, and the people that we get to share. That to be able to find people that share the same thoughts and values and just whatever about this industry and life in general, man, is pretty special, man.
Yeah, we're quickly finding out that sentiment and those thoughts are with a lot of people in this country, and that is not, with the coaching thing. We didn't do it because it's we want to inject ourselves into the paving world. There are no resources like this, and the development and growth over 3 to 5 years that's happened. Well, just 3 years, honestly, in the paving industry, and being able to reach out and connect to those people and have a brotherhood, a fraternity, a sorority, just people that you can lean on and share ideas with. I mean, it's so much. And they're good people. Like when it comes down to it, we want to hang out with good people. Like it just
they're out there, man.
It really does. It makes everything 10 times more exciting.
That's why I would keep saying, man, if you're out there struggling, you feel alone, or you going through it, you're running out of money, you're thinking about selling your business or how you're going to, pay your guys next week. Like there are people out there. It doesn't have to be me. There are a group of people in this industry that has been screwed up for so many decades. I mean, decades. This industry has been screwed up for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And we are changing it. And I'll be damned if it doesn't get changed before the day I die. We will see it through. Like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So reach out and grab somebody.
Yep.
They're there.
Yep. Yeah. And if you do actually want to get a hold of us, we're all on Instagram. It's @_pave_it_forward, and Kevin's @ADC Paving, and I'm @Mirror Marketing. That's typically the social media platform we enjoy the most. But here in the coming weeks, we're going to have more emails set up. Actually, you can reach out to us at hello@paveitforwardinc.com. That's hello@paveitforwardinc. If you actually want to, hello.
Sorry.
Is it B you're looking for? Is that it? Is that how it goes?
People never forget that shit now, I guarantee.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
What's your thought that won't stop, Phyllis?
My thought that won't stop is actually a quote I heard. And, we're getting ready to go to MPE and educate. One of my favorite things in school was just the presentation. I liked preparing well for things and getting the thing down. And so I actually came across a quote that applies in a couple different areas especially to marketing for pavers. But anyone who tries to make a distinction between education and entertainment doesn't know the first thing about either, from Marshall McLuhan. And I just, there's something about like me not wanting to be salesy, just wanting to be genuine with every business practice that I do. I am not a natural born salesman. But when it comes to education, that is something that I do love. Like I can't wait to share what we know. But when it comes down to someone that might own their own company, you can educate your customer and find those places where you excel in the customer's eyes. If your goal is to hit a certain market, after doing all these revamps over the off season now, and you're ready to go for the season, if you can just show them your culture in the field, that's all it takes. You don't want to just stand in front of the camera and start talking, but if you can show your employees, pull out your phone. If you have a Facebook account or something like that, show your employees, being happy or being goofy, but doing showcasing the quality work in the back, or you say, "Woo, you're killing that," and they're hand tamping the sides to make those sides look nice and clean and everything. you can have a website or something else to describe who you are and what your company believes. You can really just show your ideal client how much you enjoy what you do as the business owner and how much your employees actually show it too. And that'll get you equally as many, if not more, jobs than any amount of sales speak that you can do. As a matter of fact, you can overdo sales speak. One company that I think really does this well is Orca Asphalt Maintenance with Braden up in Canada. They get really creative with their material. And, when I came into this, I thought, this is going to be proof for customers that ADC Paving is a worthwhile company. Well, I thought I was going to be just shooting the paver running all the time, or maybe just you talking to the camera all the time. But what we do is we show you and the company's values and while you're doing the good work. And so if a customer does happen to go and look for more validation rather than just a website you gave them or a business card, they'll see that you're a human being that enjoys what they do. And not only that, your employees will see that too if they're active on that network. So it may be tough at first to kind of do. You may feel a little goofy. But once you start showing up with regularity, whether it be once a week, once a month, you just kind of post something, it's going to help. I mean, it's going to help. And it's one of those first steps in marketing you can take. So with the whole entertainment and education part of things, you're educating your customer. But you don't have to just stand there. And something I actually saw on TikTok, it was a paving company. There was someone raking, and a guy went behind him, one of the other workers, and was just flicking him off without him knowing. The guy is wearing the shirt of the paving company who's posting it. The name of the paving company is the account, and they are putting this online. And just to let you guys know, if that video gets a lot of hits, that's great. It's going to do absolutely no good for your business. Right. So just educate, entertain, and show the good in your business, and you really can't lose. Don't worry about the quality at first. Just show the love and the passion and the gratitude you have for your company and your employees, and you'll do just fine if you're trying to get started in marketing. So in closing, we have a lot of those resources. I just really quickly, paveitforwardinc.com if you're interested in the paving industry report or just want to check out the beginnings of what we have going on, Kevin and I. And again, that paving industry report, we are asking anybody in the paving or seal coating industries to answer these 20 to 25 questions. We will provide all of the information, all the data that we get back. You can do it anonymously, but we just really want to get the vibe of where everyone is, how we can best help you all directly, and then how the community can best help each other. So this is happening at paveitforwardinc.com. And just a reminder, we're going to release this podcast on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and we are now on all major platforms, including YouTube. So check out Pave It Forward. And yeah, if you're listening to us on a podcast, please like and subscribe. And if you wouldn't mind, if you get some value from this, leave us a review on Apple Podcast. But that will do it for today. But Kevin, do you have any last thoughts for the people?
I don't, man. I don't.
Go kill it.
Go kill it. Go kill it. And if you're not killing it and you need some help, holler at somebody.
That's right.
Holler at somebody.
If you don't have the big boy pants to put on, we'll find a store together.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. Well, Kev, thanks again. This has been the Pave It Forward podcast, where we aim to help leaders in the paving industry who are looking to run more efficiently, meet their ideal customer, and improve the lives of those around them through meaningful work. Thanks as always for listening, and we'll see you next time.